Hello, Watem here, and welcome back to some Umineko When Seagulls Cry. Let us continue.
校長先生はお元気でおられたかね。
ええ、お元気なようでした。そうそう、高宮議員もおいでになっておりました。あなたによろしくと特に言っておりましたよ。
相変わらずご多忙そうかね。
そのようでした。あの方も精力的な方です。
Yeah, so this is the real reason why Natsuki went to the cultural festival. Not for Jessica at all, no.
そうそう。あと、榎本会長もおいででしたっけ
President of what, though? Maybe some board? In case, naturally, the topic of Jessica's cultural festival came up at dinner. School events often became social gatherings for local volunteers. It was the same for the Shiromia family, who were celebrities around here. Natsuki remembered the name of one VIP after another at that social gathering, concerning crowds for news about them. Jessica didn't really have any interest in that discussion, and rudely slept her pumpkin soup.
お嬢様。
I mean, a bit annoyed that it's her cultural festival and yet nothing is about her.
あまりお行儀がよろしくないか。
へいへい、そりゃ悪かったぜ。
ジェシカ、そういう言葉遣いは改めるよういつも言っていますよ。
はい。
Jessica answered, discouraged. When he saw that, Kraus smiled a little and paused his conversation with Natsuki.
ジェシカの方はどうだったかね。文化祭は。
I mean, he might not have been there, but at least she's getting some recognition.
ああ、まあ。
見ていましたよ。
Oh! Okay.
よく頑張っていましたね。
Huh? Okay.
まあね。
Jessica's face turned bright red. She probably hadn't imagined that Natsuki would actually come and see her on stage. She felt a mix of happiness and embarrassment. Actually, she hadn't really wanted her mother to watch since she didn't want to be told that her music was inappropriate for the Ostromiya family. But it certainly didn't make her unhappy to hear her parents say she'd done a good job after watching her try her best.
ジェシカもなかなか落ち着きと貫禄が出てきましたね。
Are we talking about the same performance? Or alternatively, was she actually there?
生徒代表にふさわしい振る舞いでしたよ。
Hmm?
ああ、うん。
The smile that had been there until a second ago crumbled like sand. Jessica immediately realized that her mum was talking about something different. Jessica was also the school's student president. She had no interest in doing something so annoying, but her parents had been pushy, so she grudgingly accepted. Unfortunately, she was popular at school, so she won re-election easily. Unfortunately, she was popular. Oh, the tragedies of the rich and famous. So Natsuki was praising her for the student council sponsorship ceremony at the beginning of the cultural festival. Actually, she just carried that out half-heartedly. After that, she immediately met up with her friends and held a stage rehearsal for the rest of the time.
人の上に立ち責任を背負うという経験は必ず将来役に立つ。後ろ宮家の人間としてきっとジェシカを成熟させてくれるだろう。
Yeah, totally. On the other hand, there's this period of time in your life called being a kid.
ただ、挨拶が少し早口でした。
Because she wanted to get it over with.
内容は及第点でしたが、早い口調はそれを薄れさせます。
Play it off as being embarrassed.
一呼吸置く癖をつけるといいでしょう。
うん。
After she finished eating, Jessica didn't feel like going straight to her room. Her room was basically the place her parents had ordered her to be. So perhaps for Jessica, instead of returning to her own room, being in an unknown location of this large mansion is a meager form of resistance. Every little bit counts. It's the little things in life, you know. Jessica felt that even being in the mansion made it hard to breathe, so she went outside to the rose garden, where she will meet someone, presumably.
来たところでどうせ後ろ宮家の後継ぎとしてふさわしくないとかなんとか言うんだろうぜ。ならこれでいいんじゃねえかよ。
Jessica laughed at what she was sulking over. She laughed at what kind of words she could have possibly been expecting. That was some of me. In the end, I was just acting like an entitled brat. I'm a little exasperated with myself. It makes me want to laugh.
お嬢様。
カノン君か。驚かすなよ。
Just as she was about to force a laugh, Cannon suddenly started talking to her, and she choked.
何？なんかよ。
その。
Jessica's expression became the one she always wore when looking at Cannon. The listless Jessica from a second ago was gone. If he had still only known Jessica as the eventual successor to the Ushiromir family, as he had until yesterday, he might have mistakenly thought that Jessica's mood had sprung back to normal. But that wasn't right. He now knew who part of her that she couldn't have seen until yesterday, so he understood that there was no way Jessica actually felt the way she appeared.
今日は文化祭いや私の見栄に付き合ってくれてありがとうな。助かったぜ。
お歌。お上手でした。
Hey! I'm not sure if you can hear it, but I was clapping.
そうかよ。照れるぜ。
Even though she had heard the words she most wanted to hear, Jessica acted shy and couldn't accept them openly.
僕には歌は歌えません。
Everyone can sing, just different levels of okayness.
楽器も小学校で習ったハーモニカとリコーダー笛しか知りません。だからお嬢様も同じだろうと決めつけていました。
At the time, Cannon never felt as though he'd been looking down on Jessica in this way. But all the people he'd seen playing special influence were on the other side of the brawn tubes in the TV. At the very least, he'd been under the impression that it'd be impossible for Jessica.
僕は家具だから歌を歌う必要も楽器を扱う必要もないと信じてきました。
But I'm not sure anymore.
カノン君、その家具だからって口癖、本当によそうぜ。使用人の心得ってやつだろ。使用人は生きた家具であれってやつ。源氏さんがよく口にしてるもんな。
心得というわけでは本当に家具ですし。
福音の家の子たちがいろいろじいさまから援助をもらってるってのは知ってるし、それに恩義を感じてるのも知ってるよ。でもだからって家具なんて言い方はあんまりだぜ。私たちは同じ人間じゃないかよ。カノン君は私が歌ってるのを見てどう思った？
Well, first you thought, this isn't proper attitude for a member of the Ushiromir family.
とても楽しそうに見えました。
それは多分違うぜ。
え？
Huh?
楽しそうに見えたんじゃなくて、
Yeah?
羨ましかったんじゃない？
そんなことは。
Cannon probably hadn't noticed that emotion himself. Most likely, Cannon saw something he'd never seen before, learned about it for the first time, and felt envious. And to trick himself out of that emotion, he called himself furniture over and over.
私は後ろ宮家の跡継ぎだかなんだかだそうで、まあいろいろな面倒がこれからもあると思う。それについては運のない星の下に生まれちまったと諦めるしかないさ。
Again, the tragedy of the rich and famous.
多分カノン君が福音の家で生活しなければならなかったのと同じに、私たち自身にはどうしようもない。生まれる星は選べなかった。
そうかもしれません。
ただ私とカノン君では大きく違うところが1点ある。
How?
わかる？
I'm furniture and Milady is not. She's going to say something slightly different. Maybe she wants to push against her fate. He was about to say that, but stopped.
わかりません。
カノン君は自らの運命が自分の全てだと思って諦めた。
Close enough,
私は
I guess.
こんな運命じゃ納得できないから自分の思い切りを頑張ろうと思った。だから後ろ宮家のお嬢様をやらなければならない窮屈な自分と、自分の好きなことに精一杯の自分というもう一人を作った。
もう一人の自分。
Yeah, now you see, for one villain on the stage is actually a doppelganger.
カノン君は自分のことを家具だからと言い聞かせてきた。そう言い聞かせなきゃならない辛いことがきっとたくさんあったんだと思う。それについては本当に気の毒だと思う。でもそれだけでカノン君の人生を全て決めちゃうなんて、私はそんなの悲しいと思うんだよ。人はさ、自分の中に自分が本当に好きになれるもう一人の自分をいつでも作り出すことができるんだよ。現実逃避とかとは違うぜ。そのもう一人の自分でいるとき、私は最高に生きているって実感できる。だから普段の日常がどんなに窮屈で退屈でも、私はきっと窒息せずに生きていけるってわけ。
自分の中に自分が本当に好きになれる自分を作る。
To make another me, one that isn't furniture. Through a relationship with George-san, has Shannon given birth to another self that isn't furniture? Wording. When did this other Shannon see something that cannot be seen by furniture?
私さ、カノン君のプライベートって全然知らないぜ。
Oh, you're not missing out much there. I don't think he has one.
でもなんだか想像できる。カノン君のプライベートには多分何もない。図星でしょ？
Cannon couldn't reply. That was answer enough. He had no concept of a private life. So, Cannon would always be Cannon. So furniture would always be furniture.
カノン君のカノンってさ、
In the Fukuin house, new graduates would be given new families and a new life. So they were also given a new name. In his case, that was Cannon.
確かに僕のこの名は仮のものかもしれません。
Before, he had thought of himself as Cannon and no one else. But he remembered. There definitely had been another self that wasn't Cannon. That was far, far away, beyond the distant fog of oblivion.
ならカノン君にもカノン君である時とそうでない時で違う自分がいてもいいはず。使用人である時のカノン君は自らを家具と呼び厳しく自己を戒めてるかもしれない。でもカノン君じゃない時の君はもっともっと自由に生きていいと思うんだ。
Those words definitely weren't just lip service. Jessica had also been like this in the past. She had cursed her own birth into an environment different from all her friends at school. Only she'd been in a heavily constricted environment, forced to learn all sorts of things. And she'd even been told whom she was and wasn't allowed to play with. Oof. It may have been sad, but she'd given up, resigning herself to the fact that she'd been born under that kind of star. But one day, Jessica stopped giving up and surrendering. Stuff like Ushiromiya family customs and pressure didn't matter. She created a real Jessica inside herself, one who could do what she really wanted to do.
私さ、学校ではジェシってあだ名で呼ばれてる。だからさ、ジェシであるときは自分に思い切り素直に生きてる。
Oh yeah, also honestly that you totally have a real boyfriend. Yes, totally.
だからこそジェシカであるときも頑張れるんだ。
うん
カノン君にもカノンじゃなくてその本名であるときで違う生き方をしてもいいんじゃないかな。カノンじゃないとき自分を好きになれる自分になってみてもいいんじゃないかな。
僕がカノンじゃないとき。
He'd once thought of his real name as being completely meaningless. Because of that, he thought that canon summed up everything about him. And now, Jessica was telling him to create something new. Another self that wasn't canon.
カノン君、嫌じゃなきゃ教えてよ。本当の名前なんていうの？
He was silent for quite some time. Maybe Canon's real name had risen to the tip of his tongue. After hesitating for a long time over whether he should say it, in the end, he swallowed it back down.
忘れました。僕の名前などもうどうでもいいことです。
Those words contained a faint rejection.
僕が本当は何という名前であったとしても、今ここにカノンとしてあることだけが現実です。過去など何の関係もない。
Something bad happened to him in his past, perhaps? Perhaps it's like traumatizing? And so, because he was given a new name, the old name is then tied with his memories of past?
作られた家具の材料が元は何という木の幹であったかなんて
If that
どう
was
でもいいことと同じです。
if that was the case, then people wouldn't be going on about mahogany desks. No, the materials are very important.
だからよせって。家具じゃないんだぞ。君は人間だぜ。
僕は人間じゃない。
Canon clearly voiced his refusal. It was with a rage that he normally didn't show. Jessica couldn't say anything back. He was struck silent.
お嬢様は人間です。
If you're not human, then what are you? Yeah, he's just going to say furniture. That's not exactly helpful.
だからどんな生き方をしようとも自由で、どんな未来も可能性もある。それはまるで翼を持ち自在に空を舞う鳥のよう。でも僕にはそんなものはないんです。
So then why are you furniture?
僕がたとえ鳥に見えたとしてもアヒルに過ぎない。アヒルに翼はあっても飛ぶことはできない。なのに空の夢を語るなんて、そんなのは残酷すぎる。
家具だのアヒルだの、なんだってんだよ一体。いや。
Jessica had unconsciously gone along with Cannon's forceful manner of speaking, but she realized that she shouldn't fire back and swallowed her words.
私は君のことを何も知らない。生い立ちも知らないし、その苦労も知らない。だから君がどうして自分を家具だなんて言い出すようになったのか想像もつかない。でも知って、 君は家具でもアヒルでもない。ちゃんとした人間だぜ。使用人としてのカノン君が家具だと言うならそれでもいいよ。でもならカノン君は家具でない時の人間の時の自分を作ってもいいとは思わない？
Not gonna lie, I first read self as shelf, like a shelf in a bookshelf or something. La di da di da.
そんな可能性を抱けるのは
Yeah,
お
that,
嬢様が人間だからです。
that definitely would have changed the meaning of the sentence a bit.
僕はそうじゃない。僕には未来も可能性も見るべき夢もない。だからお嬢様、それ以上残酷なことを言わないでください。
なんでだよ。なんでそんなことを言うんだよ。
It's definitely self-imposed because Shannon's definitely living life to the fullest, not just financial.
お嬢様が僕のことをご自分と同じ人間だと勘違いなされているようだからです。僕とお嬢様は違う存在。それをはっきり申し上げておきたかったのです。シャノンに聞きました。お嬢様は僕のことをお気に入りになられているとか。
Oof! Oof!
いや
僕は人間に限りなく近い姿をしています。だからシャノンのように自分を人間だと錯覚して一時恋愛の真似事をすることもできるかもしれない。でもそれは自分を騙しているに違いない。いえ、お嬢様を騙すことにもなるのです。シャノンとジョージ様も必ず破綻する。その日が訪れることをシャノンだって理解しているだろうに。
バカだってことはないだろ。そりゃジョージ兄さんは立派な人だし両親の期待も背負ってる。確かに結婚とかになればエヴァおばさんがいろいろと口出しをしてくるだろうし、まあその前途は多難だと思うぜ。でもな、ジョージ兄さんはそんなのに屈する人じゃねえ。シャノンをジュリエットになんかしねえぜ。きっと幸せにしてくれる。
人は家具と恋などできない。
I'm sure people have. Leaving her on that
お
note.
嬢様が家具を愛することができても僕にお嬢様を愛することができないとそう申し上げたいのです。
Those words of Cannon's crushed all of Jessica's bittersweet feelings from that day. There was no way her emotions could have predicted that she'd be refused so bluntly. In an instant, she lost the willpower that had led her to try and unravel something stubborn in Cannon's heart. And before she knew it, she was just standing there in shock.
お嬢様が僕を好かれているという気持ちが僕の思い上がりによるものならどうかお許しください。
Bad Cannon. Grr.
まあそこは否定しねえぜ。
ありがとうございます。僕を人間だと思ってくれてありがとうございます。そのお気持ちだけで僕は本当に嬉しいです。そしてそれ以上は僕
いやもう十分だぜ。悪かったな。
Jessica recklessly scratched at her head and spoke, trying to force her voice to sound bright.
私一人がいろいろ先走っちゃって迷惑かけたよ。正直ごめん。
I get the feeling that her next sentence is going to be saying something like bye and then run to her room and cry. Maybe Shannon will appear.
貴重な休みを丸一日振り回しちゃって。
いえ、僕も楽しそうなお嬢様が見られて嬉しかったです。
Canon, yes. Stubbornness.
じゃあ、今夜はこれで終わりにしようぜ。
We want a perfectly good night.
私も部屋に戻って消灯しないと、また母さんに怒られちまうよ。
そうされた方がよろしいでしょう。おやすみなさいませ、お嬢様。
うん。おやすみ。
Canon saw Jessica trot away with her back to him, looking disheartened. I think worse than disheartened. Then she suddenly broke into a reckless dash and disappeared in the direction of the mansion. As she watched her back for just an instant, Canon was tormented by the feeling that he'd just made a huge mistake. Really? But he hadn't made a mistake at all. He'd been forced to refuse her now for her sake, while the pain was still at its smallest.
女を泣かせるとはなかなかやるではないか。お前がそこまで拒絶するとは意外であった。普通に受け答えしていれば、わらわの魔法で二組目の恋人たちが生まれていたものを。
いつからそこに。
The whole time.
最低なやつだな。
When he turned around, the witch was suddenly there. It looked like she'd been there the whole time, watching the two of them as though enjoying a play. So if we follow the idea that being able to see Beatrice is because of love, that George can't see her because he's being affected by the magic, that's the reason why he's quote-unquote in love with Shannon. But Shannon and Canon can see her, and Jessica's also being affected by the magic, so can't see her. Then the question remains, Shannon is obvious loves George, then who does Canon love? Is it Jessica? Or is it Shannon? Yeah, the witch is suddenly there. It looked like she'd been there the whole time, watching the two of them so enjoying a play. I'm not sure if I said that already.
わらわへの暴言は愉快なる見せ物に免じて特別に許す。男と女のこじれ合いに勝る見せ物は千年を経ても存在せぬな。わらわにとっては何よりも甘美な止められぬ快楽よ。
Which insinuates that she knows what opium's like. Canon pulled the butterfly brooch out of his pocket. It was a manifestation of the great magic the witch had bestowed. Without hesitation, Canon slammed it against the ground and stomped on it.
ほう。わらわの与えたものと知りつつ。
今、理解した。お前がしているのは恋のキューピッドなんて洒落たものじゃない。お前は結ばれぬ者たちに恋を見せてたぶらかして楽しんでいるだけの悪魔だ。
I mean, I don't think she's doing it for the best of intentions. I think she's just doing it for her own amusement. But on the other hand, I don't think she cares how it ends up. Whether they end up together or breaking apart, she's going to enjoy it. It's a win-win situation. I think that's her goal, rather than specifically choosing people that can never be together.
そう思うも自由よ。
That's just too much of a... You could very well think that. I couldn't possibly comment. Is he trying to get him to think that? Thinking it will be more interesting that way? Well, she might not necessarily think that. I don't know. It's too roundabout. In any case, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know any feedback you have in the comments, and until next time, see ya. This is great music, by the way. One of my favourites of the OST that I've heard so far. Anyway, yeah, see ya.